Hi, I'm Mina Suvari, and you're listening to the Horror Squad podcast.
Hello, welcome back to the Horror Squad podcast, episode number 337. Tonight, we'll be discussing 2024's The First Omen, a prequel to the Omen series. I'm one of your co-hosts, Todd. We have Steve. Joe is running a little bit late. He should pop in a few minutes. Steve, what's up, man?
Not too much. It's Canada Day today, the day that we're
Oh,
recording.
happy
So,
Canada Day.
thanks. Spent it in
Lighting fireworks off?
no, I'm not. I'll let
Is
other
that what they do,
people.
though?
Yeah, people do
Okay,
that. In parks and stuff.
sweet.
No, I actually watched an air show from my backyard in the pool. So, they had the biggest air show in Canadian history over. I live in the capital of Canada, and I could see it from my pool. So that's what I did pretty much all day is just watch the air show and
A show of force, dude. Love it.
chill. But yeah.
Love it.
Yeah, no,
We
it's like the 100th anniversary of our Air Force or something.
Oh, cool. You guys eating anything special, or is it just a normal day at this point since you
It's gonna
guys?
be it's gonna be a barbecue once I finish with the podcast, and
Oh,
burgers, hot dogs,
burgers.
fries, poutine.
Nice.
You know,
Poutine, nice.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Do you prefer your own poutine, or is there like is it always pale in comparison to your poutine
So,
joints out there?
no, I have a hard time doing it myself, and it has to be from Montreal specifically.
Mm.
I don't live in Montreal. I'm from Montreal, so like all the ones here just they're just missing something, and it's hard to describe what it is. It's a very specific type of cheese. Like the fries have to be a certain way,
Mm.
the gravy has to be a certain way, and people just can't seem to replicate it. So I don't know. It's just one of those things, I guess.
I mean, I guess that's similar if you want to just compare barbecue. Like we
Yeah,
just did Pittsburgh and we did it Texas, and Texas just kicks the shit out of every other state.
absolutely.
But it's like the same principle. You're smoking meat with wood, and then you're putting barbecue sauce on it. So it's like, why is it different? It just is.
I don't know. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. How about you? Anything new?
No, not really. We're, working on a secret project for the podcast that, in due time we're going to announce, and it's going to be super cool. It's not convention related. It's not anything that, every 50 people have to show up to or anything like that. It's a really cool project we're doing, all of us separately and together. Little hint right there. I'm actually doing something for it this weekend, and I cannot wait. Building stuff is always fun. Putting contraptions together is awesome. And then just like looking online for tips and tricks from people that have been doing it for all these years, and like it, I can't wait to talk about it. It's so fun replicating this stuff now.
Oh, I mean,
Um,
we could say it. It's a sex swing for the three of us. So,
yes, yeah, it was the dimensions on it are rough. We had to figure that out,
right?
and yeah, we got some steel reinforced girders in there because we all been eating a little bit too much ribs
Right.
and fries and everything. But yeah, I can't wait to talk about it. It's gonna be really cool, and it's gonna be interactive with all you people out there that listen to us. Thank you. Oh, actually, while we're talking about people that listen to us, man, huge shout out to France. We've been on their charts for like 4 weeks at this point, which is freaking cool. And then a new one too, Nigeria. We were like number 8 in your country or something like that. And man, really, really freaking cool. And we always say this, and it never happens. But if you're one of these people listening, hit us up on our email or social or something. Horrorsquadpodcast@gmail.com. Hit us up, man. Tell us like what a cool Nigerian horror movie is, or why you're a horror fan, and how you get content in Nigeria, like whether it's YouTube or online or Netflix or whatever it is. Me and Steve particularly always interested in that because we're doing our horror movie world tour, which I've taken a break on,
Me too.
where
But
we watch a film around the world. So like, man,
yeah, that,
Nigerian, let's go.
especially Africa, man. Africa is like a big like dark spot on my map. Like everything else is like green, most of it. Like there's little
Yeah,
countries I'm missing, obviously, but Africa, I think I have like three countries on it. So
it's difficult. But anyway, yeah, if you're from Nigeria, we really appreciate you listening, and send us an email, man. Can't wait to hear how you found us and all that stuff. Joe's back. Hello,
Who?
Joseph. How are you?
Hi, everyone. I'm here. I'm ready to rock and roll, baby. What are you guys up to? What you guys what I
We
miss?
already did that, Joe. We're
yeah,
already past that. We're moving into what watch territory, I think, at this point.
yep.
Okay. Well, my weekend was great, everyone. I went and saw Quiet Place day one. We'll probably review it, so I will save my thoughts for that. And yeah, happy 4th of July. Happy Canada Day. And let's get into what watched. Gentlemen, what you been watching this week?
Okay, so I have one that's Joe talked about, I think, a couple months ago or something like that. It's not really horror, but horror adjacent. A new take on the Frankenstein theme, and it's Poor Things from 2023. And man, this is a fucking weird movie, man, and I really appreciate it for that. It doesn't shy away from like super like, well, it's sex charged. Let me back up. Ton of sex in here, and it's weird because the whole premise is this young lady, um, she just is with this like William Dafoe is like a Frankenstein's kind of doctor thing, and he's just doing experiments, and she has the mind of a child essentially, and I won't explain why because it's a spoiler, but you figure out that she's clearly not altogether as an adult woman should be right in the beginning of the film, so that's not a spoiler itself. And then we follow her along as she like slowly starts to become quote unquote normal, and she wants to experience things for herself. That includes sex. Um, that includes like going out and eating and just getting out of the house, which she's not allowed to do. And she is very impressionable and gets taken advantage of by Mr. Mark Ruffalo, who's a lawyer, and he takes her on like an adventure, and they travel and things like that. It does not shy away from just being fucking weird, man. Like super weird. The cinematography is like really jumbled, and it mixes like camera lenses. Like one angle you have like a fisheye, another angle you have a wide shot. So it's super interesting in that regard. The score is extremely original, where it has like some violin music and some piano and things like that, but it's not like traditional. It's like really like kind of off-putting, and kind of makes you like not comfortable just how it is. And then the sex is at times like innocent and normal and things like that, but then other times it's like, wow, if you look deeper into this is like very fucking awful. And I'll leave it at that. The acting was fucking cool, the cinematography was awesome, music was good. Is it horror? No, but it's close enough, it's adjacent, that if you want to get going for like a weird little fun ride, Poor Things might do it for you. But it's I would chalk it up to being closer to like a film called The Lobster or Killing of a Sacred Deer, something like that, where it's kind of in the realm but not totally, but super fucking weird. I give it a 4 out of 5, and that is on Hulu in America.
I could be wrong, but I think it's the same exact director who did both those movies.
Oh, really?
I think so.
Well, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Let me see real
So
quick.
funny
I
you
got it
mentioned
pulled up
that,
right here.
but,
Oh
but I'm
shit.
pretty. It
Yeah,
is,
he
right?
did. Yeah,
Yeah.
The Lobster and Killing a Sacred Deer. And I want to see
Right.
this new one,
Kinds of
Kinds of
Kindness.
yeah, that looks pretty cool too.
Yeah, Sam watched it. She said she really liked it, but she said her two friends she went with hated it. So, you know.
Well, I can see why they like someone went like Sacred Deer.
Right.
It's weird. Or even Poor Things. It's pretty out
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, Poor Thing's great family movie. Make sure you have the kids with you when you watch it.
Specific
Yeah.
hopefully grandma's in the room.
Right.
You and grandma can just talk about what's going on, you know.
Like one of the it's gonna be like one of the horniest movies of the last like decade. Like I couldn't, man, when we started, there actually a couple people walked out. I think they were like offended of how fucking sexual that movie is, but
Yeah, Emma Stone bears it all
she
like
does.
17
Yeah.
times in
I'm pretty
graphic
sure you
detail.
see Mark Ruffalo Shaft at one point too. So if you want to
Really?
see a
I
little,
didn't see a Shaft. I didn't.
if you pause it at the right
Oh,
time, I'll get you a timestamp on that. I have it written down
get back to
somewhere.
me on that because I'm gonna pull it
Yeah.
up and research. I'll just Google it. Mark Ruffalo Shaft.
Yeah. Mr. Skin, he might have. I mean, I know he usually only does female, but maybe he's, it's different times now. We're very progressive, so maybe he's gone to male genitalia as well. So
Is
we'll have
Mr.
to
Skin
find
still
out.
a thing?
I don't know. Maybe, maybe not.
Hmm.
What's that movie where they wanted to make a Mr. Skin and they had no
Knocked
idea
Up.
Mr. Skin?
Knocked
Yeah,
Up, yeah.
they had no idea Mr. Skin existed. All right, Steve, what you got?
So because we're watching the First Omen, I went back and watched The Omen from 1976. It's available in Canada on Disney Plus. I'm assuming it's probably Hulu in the US, but I watched it on DVD because I have the whole pack. So this story is about like a minister or something in the US, and he gains control of a baby who isn't his, but the Vatican kind of tells him that he needs to, and he raises him, and this kid starts showing signs of essentially being the Antichrist by exhibiting some kind of power over people. People start like dying in mysterious ways around him. Meanwhile, there's also a photographer who is investigating this whole story. He sees like abnormalities in his pictures, and it's actually predicting people, the way that people will die, including himself. Spoiler alert, in probably one of the best kills ever in horror history, like at least should be in the conversation. And yeah, that's pretty much the gist of the story, is how they deal with this demonic child, Damien. So obviously, The Omen, it's a classic. It's, it's, I love religious horror, so it's right down my alley. Do I think it's a little bit too long? Sure. But it does have like pretty cool moments every once in a while, so it does kind of like perk you back up after some slower times and stuff like that. Very well acted. The kid who plays Damien is creepy as hell. It's actually pretty impressive what they did with some of the like animals. They didn't torture him or anything, but like getting the animals to act a certain way, especially the baboons, like they actually look like they're acting almost. It's actually a really impressively made film, and I enjoyed it. I had rewatched it for the 70s episode, and it didn't make my list, and I think I'd stay there. I do think it's one of the stronger films, just not a top 10. I gave it 3.5 stars out of 5. So that's The Omen, 1976, which you could watch on Hulu or Disney Plus, depending what country you're on.
Excellent. My first one tonight, 2024 release, a movie currently available VOD, a movie called Tarot. So everyone pronounces it differently, but I believe the correct pronunciation is tarot. I think they even say it in this movie. This one just really came out very recently. It was in theaters. I don't think it did that well, so they, shuffled it right out to VOD. This one is about a group of 20-somethings, very young. Just, I think like the movie starts like they're in high school heading off to college, and they're all partying at an Airbnb. They run out of alcohol, as it happens sometimes, and they say, what's the most logical thing to do when you run out of alcohol? Let's
Make your own?
no. I mean, most would say let's drive, but
DoorDash?
everyone's drunk, you know. I don't think there's any drizzly because they're out sort of in the, I think it's a more, rural area. So what they decide to do is, what they think the best idea is, let's raid the house. Let's break some doors that are locked and try and raid this place for alcohol. Can't imagine that's ever a good idea. Don't do this, people. Plus, like, the fees you would probably have to pay for they literally like break people's like door frames and shit like that to get into some of these locked rooms. Well, of course, they find in this locked room a very creepy basement. They go down and they find some tarot cards. And of course, one of the girls really into tarot. They're like, oh, let me read everyone's, tarot fortunes, whatever you want to call it. She kind of goes over everyone's sort of things. And lo and behold, after reading these tarots, after, maybe 45 minutes later after the movie, we get a very good, of course, expo dump about what these tarot cards mean. But of course, these tarot cards are cursed, and they start picking off the kids one by one. This movie, clearly, I am not the intended audience for. None of us are. This is, your very typical PG-13, early preteen / early teen horror movie. In my Letterboxd review, I said this is like the perfect like middle school sleepover movie. Like if you like watch this like with your friends at like a sleepover, you'd probably would like be really scared, or be like, oh man, that was like really fun. But as a seasoned horror viewer and as an adult, it's just like so incredibly predictable, so derivative of pretty much like every horror movie you've seen. I will say like the demon things, whatever they are on the tarot cards, they have some really cool designs, kind of like a la a 13 Ghosts type style. There is some cool stuff in there. However, some of the CGI is just downright atrocious here. So when it comes down to it, I just feel like it's lazy at the end of it. It's just a really lazy horror movie. Not something I can recommend at all. I give it 2 out of 5, basically just because of, I think the creature designs are pretty cool here. And there is some practical effects with the creature designs. But yeah, like I think this would be perfect for like your daughter, Todd, right? Like someone your daughter's age or something like that. Like I feel like she would be into something like this. But for us, it's a pass.
So my last one this week is we did a movie night on Friday. So thank you to everyone who joined us. And as voted by our listeners on Discord, we watched 2014 Eduardo Sanchez's Exists, which we watched over on Tubi. So this is the story of a group of friends. They're going to a retreat, like we're like in a cabin. It's like one of the guy's uncle's cabins, but he doesn't have permission. He's actually like breaking in, and he says there's a reason why the cabin is kind of like abandoned and his uncle doesn't use it anymore. But of course, he ignores that because he wants to get drunk and have sex with his friends. But on the way, they hit something. We don't know what it is. Could be a deer, could be a raccoon, could be something else. I'm not going to spoil it. And they kind of dismiss it. They look for it at first. They can hear the sound of it dying and stuff, but they don't find it. They decide to just go on their way. Car's not messed up enough for them to stop their journey. So they get to the cabin, and all of a sudden, something starts going after them. And it's a found footage film. And we find out that it's Bigfoot or a giant ape that is attacking them. Why is it attacking them? That would be a spoiler, but there isn't a reason why Bigfoot is attacking them, and it basically just dispatches most of them one by one until the somewhat of a twist ending. So the movie, I kind of feel two ways about the movie. The Bigfoot side, I like Bigfoot. It's a cool legend. I watch documentaries about Bigfoot. I find that Bigfoot's not like a character we see enough in movies because I like the idea of a giant ape in the US that's like mysterious and people may have seen. And I really like the Bigfoot in this story. He looks cool. It's like a mix of practical and CG, but I'd say the majority of it's practical. It's only when he's like running and stuff that it's CG, and it's a cool costume for the Bigfoot, so I like that whole aspect of it. But it does something I absolutely hate about horror films. It's one of my biggest gripes in horror is that I didn't like any of the human characters. They're all super unlikable. And if I don't like your characters, I don't give a shit if they live or die. And that's a problem when you're watching a movie about like essentially it's almost like a slasher movie, but with Bigfoot. And yeah, so it's just basically like I just can't wait to see how they get disposed of next. And honestly, none of them get disposed in a really interesting way, in my opinion. So that was a bit of a bummer. Still, it was fun to watch with other people. And I did like seeing Bigfoot in action. And I like found footage films, so that always helps as well. So I gave it a 2 out of 5 stars. So that's Exists over on Tubi.
Alrighty. I haven't seen that one in over a decade. I remember liking it, but that was a very long time ago. So I'm interested to see how it would be on a revisit. All right, my last one tonight. I did non-horror wise. I watched Furiosa. Fucking loved it. Definitely recommend it for those of you who are into that type of movie. But horror wise, I watched 2024's The Watchers. This one just came available on VOD for the low price of $19.99 for those of you that may want to watch it. Yeah, it's tough, man. Like this whole I don't know. Like, how do you guys feel about that? Like the whole like, okay, we'll release a movie for 2 weeks in theaters and then throw it out on VOD for $20. Do you like
I
that? Or
like
do you like
options. Like I
yeah.
like that because some people don't want to go to theater anymore.
Right.
I even sometimes don't want to go to theater anymore.
Yeah, I
I
hear
go for
you.
big movies, but for movies like The Watchers,
Mm-hmm.
But so I like the option. But 19.99, I find
Yeah,
they
it's
should
too
give you
Expensive,
steep.
almost
man.
yeah, it should give you the option to just buy it.
Right.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Anyway,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's still, I mean, it's still cheaper, I guess, than going to the theaters to see it. Like if you went with another person, but if you're just watching it by yourself at home, it ain't worth the $19.99 price. But anyway, I digress. All right, so The Watchers 2024 release. You may have heard of it. I guess the biggest sort of claim to fame for this one is it's directed by M. Night Shyamalan's daughter, Ashana Night Shyamalan. So this one stars Dakota Fanning. And also our girl Sally from the new Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the Sally Hardesty recast in the new Texas Chainsaw Massacre. They're sort of our two main characters in this. But basically, Dakota Fanning ends up she's delivering like a bird to she works at like this pet store. She gets a call to deliver a bird to this location. While she's driving, her car breaks down. She ends up walking through these creepy woods, and in these woods, she comes across these people. And from there, she comes to find out that she has stumbled upon a woods in which there is this sort of big glass building in the middle. And she's told she can no longer leave these woods because the Watchers will no longer let her leave. So it is her and 3 other people now stuck in the woods where they're in this sort of glass enclosure, I guess. And every night, the quote unquote Watchers come and literally just watch them in this glass enclosure. And there are certain rules that they must abide by. They can go out during the day, but apparently they're not allowed to escape during the day. I'm not sure. These rules are very confusing. They cannot escape during the day. And then they also there's these holes in the ground that the Watchers live in that they're not allowed to go and explore. And I don't know. It's all very, very convoluted. But essentially, the 4 of them, she comes to find out some of them have been there for months, basically just chilling. Yeah, I don't know. It's very confusing, all of why they cannot leave and stuff like that. But anyway, I don't know. I don't want to give too much away, obviously, but I'll just leave it at that. Yeah, they show so every night these these quote unquote Watchers come, and yeah, they just have to just kind of live their sort of mundane lives every day. Dakota obviously isn't for it. She wants to find a way to escape, tries breaking some rules. And we'll leave it at that. Who are the Watchers? That's basically the whole basis
Perverts.
of this movie. So yeah, I mean, this movie honestly wasn't fully what I was expecting it to be. You know, I found the big twist. Obviously, of course, we get a classic Shyamalan twist here. It is based on a novel, which I came to find out that is apparently pretty popular. And I found it to be very predictable, especially not right away, but once we got about 30 or 40 minutes in, I looked over at Sam. I said, "This is exactly what's going to happen," and it is exactly. And she said the same thing. So I feel like it's very, very predictable. I will say it definitely leans more on fantasy / sci-fi rather than horror. I will say the Watchers themselves can be a bit creepy at times and stuff like that, but it's definitely more, I would call, fantasy with some horror elements in there. So if you're going in expecting a full-fledged horror movie, I think you'll be a bit disappointed. I really like the atmosphere of the movie. I thought the woods and stuff were really creepy, but they just don't explore it enough to its full potential. And then they end up changing us out of the woods. I would say probably about a little over halfway through the movie. And it's just, they take us to a very different, just uninteresting location that I wasn't into. I also didn't like the reveal of the Watchers too much. Once we actually find out who and what the Watchers are. So yeah, to me, most of it just kind of fell flat. I will say it's definitely a watchable movie. I didn't hate it or anything like that. I'd say it's worth, if you're a Shyamalan fan, and are into those twist type movies, it's fine. But at the end of the day, I'm gonna forget about this one. I find it ultimately pretty forgettable. I still gave it a 3 out of 5 though, because I think there is some enjoyability here, but just nothing I think I'll ever probably watch again. So that's The Watchers, 2024. Alrighty. I think that's about it then for what watched. Todd, get on Satan. Satan, is it Satan? Satan? I don't know.
I'm gonna stick with Satan. Sounds cool.
All right, yeah.
Satan.
Yeah, because Letterboxd has it as just, if you look it up, it just is under Satan in English, but the title is Seytan.
Satan. Like spray tan, kind of.
Yeah, ooh, I like that.
Spray tan. Yeah.
Yes. Shout out to Tan Mom, if you remember her from back in the day.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Throwback.
Throwback.
Speaking of throwbacks, what happened to the Buff Kid? Remember the Buff Kid?
Buff Kid?
Yeah, Buff Kid. Dude. He was 10 and he had a 12-pack and
nice. Good for him. Nice. I wonder if he's still buff.
That was in 98. So it's it was a huge deal because why are you making this kid work out and blah blah blah. Anyway, trivia.
R.I.P. Star Wars kid, right? Tusk. They went looking for him, and he killed. And wasn't it in Tusk? They go looking for Star Wars kid, and he ended up killing him. He killed himself or something like that.
Is that the real story though?
No, I don't think so. I think it was. No.
Very good.
All right, Todd, bust out the books. Let's get into trivia.
All right. Steve in his dominating performance, currently sits at 37 to my 30 to Joe's 26. We now begin quarter number 3. Who would like to begin?
I'll go.
Oh,
Yeah, you better.
Papa Steve coming out hot.
All right, so since I spent my day in the pool, I didn't really have time to do trivia.
Oh.
So thankfully, Kayla always coming through with
Get lazy
the
fuck.
list of trivia. So first one, you only get one chance to answer because there's only like 25 different answers that you can have.
Okay.
Okay.
Rosemary's Baby won an Oscar in which category? So
Ooh.
won an Oscar.
Music.
I
Wrong.
like it, but I'm going to say
Wrong.
no.
Damn.
Interesting. Very, very interesting. It won an Oscar, huh?
It did. It was also
Oh.
nominated for something else, but
Oh.
it only won one.
I believe it was Best Supporting Actress.
Correct. For the old
Wow,
lady.
nice. Good
Yes.
Ruth
Yes.
something.
job. She got an Oscar for that?
She did,
Yeah.
Mia
She was
Farrow
really good,
didn't
man.
even get nominated,
Okay.
but
I know.
Alright.
That's a travesty that Mia didn't even get nominated, but she was
Yeah.
that woman was really good. Oscars are fucking weird anyway, man.
And
We all know
Roman
this.
Polanski also got nominated for. He got nominated, didn't win for best adapted screenplay.
That guy should be in
Interesting.
jail, but we won't go
Yeah,
there.
yeah, that's a
Yes.
whole other story. Yes,
Right.
absolutely.
Indeed. Okay, I'll go next. We got 3 letterboxed reviews to start off tonight and guess the movie. And one of these reviews might sound familiar to one of you. All right, number 1. What if I said hottest cast ever? What then?
What then, indeed?
All right, number 2. This movie is so bland. This is the poster child for bad 90s horror. The story is basic, the dialogue is dull, the characters are boring, and the villain is just awful.
Is
There's
it
very little.
Urban Legend?
It is not.
Yeah.
There's very little that I enjoyed about this movie other than the music. Everything else is forgettable at best. And that is our good friend Steven's review of this movie.
It's hard because I feel like why wouldn't we all review it unless it was just
We
like
did.
a bomb?
I will say we reviewed this for the podcast,
Oh, we just didn't.
but
all put it on
you didn't
Letterboxd.
put it on Letterboxd.
Okay.
Not
I
your
got
review.
2 ideas, but I don't want to reset the guessing.
Oh,
yet.
sure.
Okay. And then I will say this last one is the dead giveaway.
Damn it.
If you have seen the movie. So, all right.
Which we have.
See. Let's see if Todd can get it.
Let's see.
Imagine being murdered literally 5 feet away from a whole ass marching band.
I know.
You know for sure?
No.
I'm gonna go Valentine.
Incorrect.
Oh, son of a bitch.
Wait,
wanna
what
follow
I'm
up
thinking
Steven's
isn't in the 90s, so. Well, you can follow up now because we're back to even, so.
Mhm.
I know what you did last summer.
Correct. It
Yes.
is, I know what you did last summer.
Yes, fuck that movie. Movie fucking
Yeah,
sucks.
it's
My turn here from the Todd Trivia Workbook, which is at 2,500 questions and counting.
Ooh,
We're talking crossword puzzles. We're talking word
Dang.
searches. We're
how many
talking.
pages is gonna be?
I don't even want to get into that. It's 127 pages right now.
Like a coffee table book.
Yeah, right.
It's gonna be a big daddy here. All right. We have all watched this film. This 1993 film features what type of giant bug that are terrorizing a couple on
Mosquito?
a hike? It's correct. Damn it. Why did you get it? Oh, you get it? Damn it. Good movie.
It is a good movie. I'm glad you made us discover that in episode 100.
Oh, nice.
That is, yeah.
All right. Tagline.
Oof.
The lucky ones died first.
Oh. Ooh, sounds familiar.
It sounds extremely familiar. The lucky ones died first.
Sounds like a post-apocalyptic, maybe nuclear type movie.
This is from Kayla, right?
Possibly. Yep. It's from Kayla.
movie?
They're all from Kayla.
28 days later.
Wrong.
Possibly. I don't know if Steve's being a little trickster like he always is with his little hints. The lucky ones died first. Let's go. No, that's not. That's fucking stupid. That's a stupid guess. Don't say that. I don't know. Drawing a blank. Do we have any hints, or are we just?
Sure. But that resets the counter.
That's fine.
We
Love
have
it.
not reviewed it on the podcast, but we have talked about it in one of the episodes at least. And there is a remake to this movie.
The Thing?
Okay.
Wrong.
No, that's like the best place to hide is a human body or some shit like that, right?
Hmm.
That technically.
Hmm.
Right.
Hmm.
That's man. The lucky ones died first.
The Hills Have Eyes.
Correct.
Dang.
That's exactly it.
Nice, nice guess. Nice guess.
Love
Nice
it.
guess.
That's fucking brutal movie, man.
Fuck yeah, it is.
If we might need to do the remake if
Yeah.
we get Vanessa
Oh,
Shar on
definitely.
later this year. So yeah.
Yeah,
Remake's great.
absolutely.
All right. All right. Back to me.
Mhm.
All right. Guess the movie based on the IMDb information. And I will say, before I even start, we have reviewed this movie on the
great.
podcast.
Hmm.
This movie was released in the year 1996 with an R rating, clocking in at a nice brisk 1 hour and 29 minutes. Categorized as slasher horror, comedy, and horror. Currently
Horror.
sitting at currently sitting at a 4.6 out of 10 over on IMDb. Director William Lustig.
Oh, it's a Maniac Cop.
Incorrect.
Oh no.
Oh, damn.
No.
Cast William Smith,
Oh, I got it.
David Shark
Fuck me, dude.
Relic, Bo Hopkins, and Isaac Hayes.
It's just within my grasp. Steve, guess wrong already.
Tagline:
No, don't take the tagline.
I want you dead.
Don't do the
I know
tagline.
exactly what it
No,
is.
you
I'm
don't.
trying to
You don't
remember
know
the
anything.
fucking name of it.
You're not gonna remember it.
I know
you're
Uncle
not.
Sam.
Yes.
It is Uncle
fucking
Sam.
motherfucker. Damn it.
I could
No.
picture the movie in my head, but I couldn't remember the fucking.
I'm watching it. I'm watching on Thursday.
Nice.
Nice.
Or-
That movie is so
Enjoy.
weird.
It is
Super
weird.
man. Super weird. Especially the special features, which are just wrong.
Right. Yeah, yeah, right.
Just wrong. All right. In Deep Blue Sea, a film we have all watched, what type of disease are they trying to cure?
Alzheimer's?
Correct.
Yeah. Nice.
Alzheimer's.
All right.
Yep, yep, yep.
Still a Kayla question. Last
Kayla.
one. Also a tagline. Silence can be a killer.
Dead
Don't
Silence?
breathe.
Both wrong. You can get one more guess.
Silence can be a killer. Dead Silence is so fucking good.
Right. Absolutely.
Um,
We reviewed
covered that,
that, I
right?
think, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, we did. We did.
Mary Shaw. Silence can be a killer.
Mhm.
Silence. Can, A Quiet Place.
Wrong.
Wait, why would that be a killer? It's fucking. Never mind. Stupid
Well,
ass.
yeah. The opposite. You want one more guess, Joe?
Don't breathe.
I already said that.
That's what.
Oh shit! Sorry. See, I was thinking so fucking intently. I wasn't listening to Todd's answer.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, I got nothing.
All right. So the answer was Hush.
Good movie.
Great
Underrated.
movie, dude. Yeah,
Yeah.
great movie.
Nice.
Very good.
Mike Flanagan, right?
Yep.
From what I heard, you get like
And his
can't find
wife.
it anywhere.
No, it's not. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's not on Blue. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Same
All
thing
right.
with like The Ritual. That's hard to find too. I think there's like an English release, but other than that, it's like that
It was-
pisses me off too. All
I
these
think-
third parties like not putting their stuff out on DVD and stuff.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I think it was Creeporama or some other company just released a really good Ritual T-shirt line last
really?
week. Yeah.
Hmm.
For anyone looking for Ritual shirts, which obviously there's not many of. So, all right. My last one tonight. In case you didn't realize, I had a theme tonight. 4th of July themed horror movies.
Not a lot, right?
And
No.
my last one, Return of the Living Dead, of course, starts on 4th of July weekend with the, of course, very infamous title card of the date and time of the start of the movie. Can you give me the date and time in the start of the
Christ,
movie.
how close do we have to be? Like exact?
Yes.
July
Right.
4th,
It's a very-
1985.
What'd you
Time?
say?
July 4th, 1985.
Incorrect.
Correct.
July 4th, 1988.
Incorrect.
All right.
July 4th, 1986. 87, 89.
Incorrect.
Yeah,
Is
I
it?
know.
Yeah, I don't know.
All right. Well, there it
What's it
is.
say? I can't read that. What's it say?
84?
July 3rd,
Ah,
1984 at 5:30 p.m. Eastern Daylight Savings Time. I wasn't looking for that specific, but just the
Yeah.
actual date would have.
in Kentucky, of all places.
Right.
All right. This 2004 direct to DVD / sci-fi picture original film features killer fish in Louisiana,
Ooh.
which
it
I
Piranha
will die on
3D?
this hill. It's not Piranha. I will die on this hill that this is a really fun movie, but it's not
Is
Piranha.
it, uh, Humanoids from the Deep.
It's not. That would be 88 or something like that.
What year?
2004. Everyone gets another
Oh,
guess.
2004. I didn't hear the year.
Yeah,
Okay.
2004. Premiered on like Sci-Fi Picture Original,
Sci-fi.
straight
Okay.
to DVD kind of thing. Killer fish in Louisiana.
Fish in Louisiana, and it's not piranha.
It's not.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Can't even think of fucking killer fish movies to be honest. Like other than like Orca, which
That's
counts.
a whale, bud.
I know, but like I don't know what you're like. You know.
No, it's yeah.
Tadpoles.
Incorrect. The title of the film is
Mhm.
Frankenfish.
Ah, never seen it.
It is a good one. I like it.
Alright.
It's a good one.
Fun.
Is that it?
Yep, that's it.
All right, big night with Joe coming out hot. 3,
Woo!
Steve 2, myself 1 for quarter number 3, game 1. So, any man's game. But Steve does have that 7-point lead from quarter number 2. So,
Boo.
insurmountable. We'll see.
We shall see. Stick around, folks. It's gonna get crazy. And with that, let's get into our main event of the evening, 2024's The First Omen, starring Nell Tiger Free, Ralph Ineson, Sonia Braga, and Maria Caballero. Directed by Arkancha Stevenson. Plot: a young American woman is sent to Rome to begin a life of service to the church, but encounters a darkness that causes her to question her faith and uncovers a terrifying conspiracy that hopes to bring about the birth of evil incarnate. Todd,
Wow.
you do plot synopses
Oh,
every now and again.
yeah,
Maybe some
yeah.
would say maybe even every single week.
Some
So
can
take
say
it away.
that, yeah. Well, Immaculate, the movie starts with wait, no, this is First Omen. I forget, it's the same fucking movie. Yeah. So we start with Tywin Lannister, Game of Thrones. He's talking with Ralph, fucking last name,
Galactus.
Innocent. Ralph Ineson. Ralph Ineson. And they're just fucking hanging out. The couple priests just having a good time, right? As they do. As they do. And then they're like, hey, some child was born unnaturally. He's like, dude, shut the fuck up. One of them gets hit by something, but I don't want to spoil it because it's actually a really cool scene. Then we shoot a little bit forward and we have Nell Tiger Free, who's the actress name. That's quite a name, my gosh. Way cooler than my name. We have Margaret, who's an American, just like Immaculate, coming to Italy, just like Immaculate, who doesn't really speak the language that well. Can you guess it? Just like Immaculate. She's doe-eyed. She's very sweet. She's very nice. Like, yeah, these people have been like watching me over me since I was a child, just like Immaculate. And then they want me to come here because like I'm really cool and really nice, and I'm gonna work at this this kind of like orphanage thing, and there's like kids, but that one's kind of weird over there. Do we talk to her? Like, no, she's naughty. She's gonna be in the bad room. Why do you have a bad room? Learn your place, Margaret. And then she meets like this other girl, another nun that's like hasn't taken like the official oath yet or something. It's like, all right,
Like
she dresses up
Immaculate.
all nice, just like Immaculate. You're onto something here. They go out partying and like hitting up dudes and showing their titties off and things like that, which I'm 100% behind, man. Just like Immaculate. And then of course there's another girl that's a little bit angry, just like dude. Seriously, when I was watching this movie, I'm like, did they intentionally do this, like a volcano and Dante's Peak and a fucking the one with Ben Affleck chasing asteroids and then Deep Impact with Elijah Wood? It's like, what are we doing? I'm so glad we didn't review this like back to back. That would have sucked because it was like really hard for me to get in this one just because I felt like we just seen this movie, 3 weeks prior. Some same story beats, man. Like if you've seen the first Omen, not the first Omen, but the original Omen, then you're kind of know the beats, right? They're trying to bring back the Antichrist, or bring to fruition the Antichrist, and their experiments so far have all failed, just like Immaculate, until one girl is like the key to everything, and they want to make sure that she survives and gives birth to the fucking evil son and shit like that. And does she want to? No, just like Immaculate. So overall, like I think in a different mindset, and if I hadn't just watched the previously mentioned 9 times Immaculate movie, I think I would have respected a little bit differently. But since that was so fresh in my mind and we discussed it so in depth, it was really hard for me to get into this one. I ended up pausing it a lot, doing other things, coming back to it. But overall, positives right off the bat. Nell Tiger Free, fuck man, she's a great actress, dude. She was killing it in this movie. And yeah, but ultimately, I think it was a little bit too similar to a film we just reviewed to fully enjoy it.
Yeah, I mean, and I think I saw this like 2 weeks after like they literally came out like back to back almost. Like I did see both of them in theaters, and it was jarring like the first time like this started, and I was like, fuck, I was like, this feels like the same exact movie. I mean, there are obviously differences, right? Like because in Immaculate, they're trying to birth like the next coming of Christ, whereas this one they're trying to birth the Antichrist. So it is a little different in that thing, but yeah, there are a lot of very similar beats, and I could see why you definitely had issues with it. But I feel like there's enough of a difference, especially once obviously the start of the movie it's very similar, but I feel like once we start getting into the meat, that there's enough of a difference here that honestly I actually enjoyed this more than Immaculate. I'll just say this right now. I think because like I'm used to the Omen franchise, right? So it was cool to go back and see, who is Damien's mother and stuff, which obviously we end up getting revealed in this. Obviously, I feel like perhaps it becomes a little I don't think it's immediately predictable that she is going to be the mother, right? But I think they definitely start leaning that way. Also, Ralph Ineson is in this, which, people say they want Morgan Freeman to narrate their lives, but I would have Ralph Ineson narrate my life because that man has the best voice in existence. So anytime he's in a movie, I'm automatically on board with it. But yeah, like you said, Nell Tiger Freeman, she fucking just absolutely kills it. Just like Sydney Sweeney killed it in Immaculate and you know, raised Immaculate to being a great movie. I think Nell Tiger Free does the same thing with this movie. A lesser actress. I think you have a pretty basic movie, but she fucking kills it. The birthing scene in this movie is fucking insane. Loved it. There's also some crazy imagery here. Like not the actual birthing scene, but earlier on in the movie where you have the fucking demon hand coming out of a vagina at one point. I'm like, holy fuck. There's some really crazy imagery in this movie. They weren't afraid or shied away from stuff. And yeah, I mean, overall, I really, really enjoyed this one.
Yeah. So it was hard not to think of course, Immaculate, but I also watched The Omen the night before. I also watched Rosemary's Baby like a few weeks ago. So all these like kind of themes are very similar in this movie, but I enjoyed it. I personally put it like a peg under Immaculate. I thought Immaculate was just like better filmed, had better score. It had like scenes, I guess, that were like, I don't know, just better composed. But there are also some really good things about this one. First of all, fucking Nell Tiger Free right now is my front runner for Best Actress of the Year, Best Performance. Absolutely incredible in that role. There are also some really cool like there's some cool imagery in this one. We get like some pretty scary scenes. Like there's this girl who's like all burnt up to her nose basically, who's like in a dark corner, and that was pretty cool. And yeah, the fucking first birth scene, like you said, wow, they really didn't shy away from showing shit. It actually reminded me, I know it's goofy, but of Mark Henry and Mae Young's hand son in wrestling, which is like one of the worst moments in pro wrestling, but it made me laugh, which it shouldn't because it's like a super fucking gross scene in the movie. It's just like a lot of cool things about it, but at the same time, I had a few issues. One issue is in some scenes I thought they did like push the bar, but in some scenes I felt they held back. The first scene is one where I thought they held back. So, you have Tywin Lannister's like priest there at the beginning, and you see them like fucking around putting in the glass panes, into the church, and you know that those things are gonna kill one of the priests or someone, right? Because obviously, I mean, it's a horror movie and we've seen The Omen, but I feel that that kill was like really dull. They had all this stuff to make a really cool kill, maybe to even match it to the infamous glass pane scene kill in The Omen. And basically, it's not even the glass that does anything, it's just a pole that hits the glass. And it just like, yeah, it takes a chunk out of his head, but I don't know, it didn't look good. And so there are some scenes like that in the movie where I was kind of disappointed, including seeing the devil. So we see the devil kind of briefly in the fire near the end, and I thought it looked goofy. So it's like on one hand, I thought there was some really cool things about it. On another hand, I'm like, I don't know. Like they could have done better. So I'm kind of like torn between those two.
Yeah, yeah. My biggest complaint is that they like went back to the same well, right? They almost like copied scenes, right? Like you said, like the glass pane scene, and then of course the sort of "it's all for you" scene that we see in the original. They kind of redo it in this one. I think a little more viciously in this one, honestly. And I thought I really did like that scene in this one, but it is sort of going back to that same well. I don't know if it's just sort of paying. They were trying to pay, homages to the original Omen or whatever with that. But that was sort of my biggest complaint. I also think the movie is slightly too long at 2 hours. I feel like it definitely could have been tightened up. I think we probably could have did a little with some of the without sort of maybe all the sort of intro stuff we get in the first sort of half hour, 45 minutes here. Like with the disco club scene and all that. I feel like that could have been tightened up for sure there, unless you want to see, Nell Tiger doing her fucking little
Let's talk about that.
dance in this. All right,
Let's talk about that.
let's talk
So,
about it.
admittedly, I lost interest and, I started looking at my phone and did the
Mhm.
cardinal sin of getting bored, so you start doing something else. Was Paulo her blind date or whatever, and the other guy, they're in on it, right?
Yeah, you see him in cloaks at
Yeah.
the end.
Okay.
Mhm.
So why did Paulo freak out when he saw her in the street and right before he gets killed, which is fucking cool.
Because
When
he was
like
about to
Great
give the
scene.
secret away, and I think that's
I,
why he got killed as well.
I think he felt guilty though,
guilty
right?
about it.
That's why he
Yeah,
was, yeah, because like you see him when like it is revealed obviously that she's the mother and that, essentially they drugged her that night, all of
And
them, in order to birth the Antichrist.
but Paulo
You
is
see you
he has
see
sex with her?
No, he
Who
no,
doesn't
has
have
sex with
sex with
her?
her. The
the
jackal
demon,
thing,
the
the
demon.
Oh,
demon.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah,
So
that
just like
immaculate.
Rosemary's Baby and all that
And
stuff.
yeah, Rosemary's
Yeah.
Baby.
Got
Yeah,
it, got it, got it.
right. Yeah, just like they drugged her in Immaculate, and I mean, obviously, this movie does pay like you get very big Rosemary's Baby and even possession
Mhm.
things with this movie. But yeah, like I think for sure that it was he just felt guilty. Like you could tell he had some trepidation in him in when they go back and show him and stuff like that. So I think he felt guilty, and then he tries to obviously hint at her
Mm.
that she has the mark on her head, and that's when he fucking gets
She never
fucking
saw that mark in the
absolutely
history of her entire
destroyed
life.
by that
Come on.
car. She never
So
felt it. No,
she
she had long
get the
hair.
fuck out.
She had long
Especially
hair, Todd.
people,
Okay,
especially women, focus a lot on their hair.
right.
You're gonna see the fucking
A hun-
666
a
mark in your
hundred
fucking forehead.
A
Like,
hundred, 100%. It's definitely, I didn't really think about it until you say that just now, but yeah, I mean, for her not ever feel that, like
yeah,
her
it's
entire
ridiculous.
existence, that is a little far fetched now that you mention that. But obviously, it's we're not supposed to know
Whatever. It's
that
fine.
she's one of the
Should
one
have been
of
on the
is
inside of her butthole or
she
something.
yeah, yeah, and I mean, once again, go back to the Immaculate Well. It's like yeah, like all these like sort of failed births of
Mhm.
the instead of Antichrist. It is really interesting, right, that we get two extremely similar movies within a 2-week span in theaters. But yeah, man, I mean, it is fascinating. I wonder, like, if like what they thought, like after each other saw their two movies and are like, holy fuck, like
Someone fucked up
it's
because
so incredibly similar, like, and like obviously different in their own ways, but so similar in the beats, like fucking Italy in the 70s, like it's fucking
yeah,
wild.
it is. They're essentially the same movie, just flopping the Christ with
Right.
Antichrist, honestly.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
yeah, one of these, probably the First Omen, since it has the history, should have opened in
Mhm.
Halloween, like perfect time for
Yeah.
this to come out. Why are you doing it in fucking, what was it, May, April, something like
Yeah,
that?
this
So
got
April.
pushed, like I think from its original date. I don't remember when
I
it
think you're
was, but
right. Yeah.
mm,
yeah. So how it was crazy to see how, I guess, liberal the nuns were in this movie compared to other religious
Mm.
films.
talking
Like in
about
the other
dicks and
one,
stuff.
yeah, they're fucking smoking, they're talking about sex, they're fucking jumping on trampolines and shit. Like they're going clubbing. Like it's like what the fuck is going on here? Like,
And that one chick was hot too.
yeah, which is like the immaculate.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Exactly. They kind of look alike too, don't they? I
They
feel
Yeah,
do.
they do. Yeah, they do.
like.
It's
Yeah, and
wild, man.
yeah, and then there's also like Joe's kind of touching on it a little bit. There's a fine line between paying homage and just essentially rehashing the same thing, right? And the nun kill where she hangs herself, and this one she also fucking lights herself on fire. I don't know, it came off a little cheesy to me because it is so close to exactly what happens in The Omen, right? And that one it's a nanny, it's not a nun, but it's just I don't know. I think it towed the line a little too close to
Hmm.
being, yeah.
Well, I think what they're doing with it is, a soft reboot, right? Like I think they guess that the new audiences aren't going to see the original, necessarily, and they don't really care about like the 40-year-old, 50-year-old, 60-year-olds that have seen this film. You know what I mean? The original, so they're not gonna they don't care about what we think. They care about what the newer crowd, the newer generation's going to see, and of course they want bigger and better, right? So they're not going to just hang themselves; they're going to light themselves on fire. Plus hang, because why not? Double trouble. But I think that's comes down to a lot of it. It's like they are gearing everything towards a new audience because they haven't seen that yet. My kids haven't seen the original Omen, and they'll probably never see it. They'll see this one way
Yeah.
before they see that.
Yeah, it's a good point, and it kind of like for the people that have seen the original, I suppose it's sort of like an Easter egg type thing thrown in for people that have seen the original to sort of enjoy that part of it. I want to go to the sort of reveal though. Did you guess it at all, like along the way, or was it like
Which
once
reveal?
they the reveal that she is she's the child, obviously, like this whole time she thinks that other girl, right, is gonna
The
be the
the
mother,
weird girl.
right? The one she thinks she's the one that they want to impregnate, blah blah blah. And she comes to find out that she was also one of the children that were birthed, right? There's only two women, right? I think it was all the other were either males
Or no, they didn't wear
or
males. They were like stillborn or
stillborn,
yeah,
yeah,
or
or
deformed.
deformed in
Yeah,
some way.
it's the only
So
two
she
that
was like
survived.
one of two that survived.
Yeah.
Her, the little girl, and her. I mean, did you ever think she was
See,
going to be, I guess, the
uh,
one?
I did for the
Okay.
simple reason that Carlita, which is well, I guess they're both Carlita, but Carlita, the young girl, was too young, and I don't think a movie would do that. Like they're not
Yeah.
gonna show a 14-year-old being raped in a mainstream movie like this. So to me, that wasn't gonna be the girl that they're trying to give birth. So I had a feeling it would be
Well,
the nun.
but the question, right? Unless I'm understanding it wrong, is did we know if Margaret was a previous experience he did, right?
Yeah.
Is that what it is?
I mean, well, she was like, yeah, she was
So
one
she
of
would she
one
she's
of
she's
two at this
Antichrist,
point.
right? Is
No,
she not?
no, she's not. No,
Why?
well, like she was birthed
Explain
from
to me, because I don't
right,
fucking get
right,
it
right,
then.
right,
Because she has a mark of the beast on her, right?
right. Yes,
And then
but
they're
they
trying
need
to
a
convert her.
female to breed a male.
Okay.
In
So
order.
the young girl is
So
also
they're breeding these women essentially to have sex with this jackal
Oh,
thing
okay.
that whatever. And where did this jackal come from? I don't know. Did they create it? Like, what is it? Like, we don't really know. It's not purely the devil, right? Like,
They
Um,
didn't specify.
yeah, no. Like, because in the original Omen, I believe it's Damien is born from a woman jackal, correct? If I'm not mistaken.
I
But
don't think
no,
they
he,
it's
do. They, I
been
don't think they
he's born.
specify.
He's
He's
born in the
just
hospital
yeah.
too. I thought.
Okay.
yeah.
So,
No. Well,
It's
yeah.
been a minute. I
I
mean,
don't.
they kind of show it at the end of this one, I guess.
No, yeah,
But
they showed exactly
yeah,
almost shot for
yeah,
shot. Well, what we
Okay,
didn't
I don't.
see, in the first one.
right.
So
Because
how are
this is
these women? How is Margaret and the other one? How are they bred?
they're bred from
Who do they come from?
the that actually did they
There,
ever explain that?
yeah,
I can't
I think,
remember.
yeah, no, I feel like they
Are
were
they creating them
also,
in a lab?
yeah,
How though? Okay, so just correct me when I'm wrong. Okay, so these
Yes.
Margaret is one of the church's experiments, right?
Yes.
And then all the other babies that they're looking through the files were also experiments, but they didn't survive for whatever reason. But
Right.
why are they all fucked up? Margaret's fine, but why is that make her demonic? That's my question. Because I
they're,
get that they're trying to have the demon fucking impregnate her, but
Right.
why her? Why she had the mark of the beast on it, and why does
so
it fucking matter? Can't you just
from
have him or anybody?
I'm thinking it's DNA, right? Like they're putting I'm assuming like these are being bred in labs or something, and they're taking DNA from the jackal or
Mhm.
like whatever or some sort of demon and creating a female version so they can mate with this jackal thing that they
That
created.
makes zero sense.
Yeah, but yeah, because they
It's
say a
not fully
line.
explained great.
So Ralph Ineson's character says the line, "The beast must mate with its own offspring."
Right.
So it
Okay.
has to be one of
Gross.
these like Carlita girls
So it's
that,
like incestuous.
yeah, essentially,
Interesting. Yeah.
it needs to be like, I
Okay.
guess, like a pure blood demon, right? It can't
Right.
just be.
So, oh, that's right. Actually, no, that's right. So that's right. I completely forgot about this scene. But when she's getting ready to give birth, the other nun is like, we find out she's the mother. So they were these nuns were agreeing, or this cult, quote unquote cult, they were agreeing to be impregnated by that jackal, and most of them were failing with their births, but she is one of two that actually survived.
Okay, so the jackal's just hitting them doggy, and
Yeah.
then they fucking get impregnated. But why would they send Margaret to America? That makes zero sense. If it's like at that point, that's the only
Right.
successful experiment because this other chick hasn't been born yet. Because Margaret's what, like 20? I don't know, something like
I
that.
think they do. I feel like she needed to be old enough, right? So they
Yeah,
needed
but
to
why would
keep
they
her.
send her away? They keep her under lock and key in Italy and not worry about her getting killed or
Yeah, I mean it's a good
impregnated
question.
or something.
I feel like they do explain it, but I cannot remember like why she is sent away. But yeah, obviously they needed her to be old enough in order. But like, how old is she in this one? Is she just turning
I
18?
think
Is she
she's
still supposed
18.
to be?
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense, right? So
So
apparently
they're
they do.
they're they're
Apparently
playing
they
with
do have
rape,
some morals. Yeah,
but not statutory. Got
right.
it.
Yeah,
All
Yeah.
right, they
exactly.
drew the line. Got
Right, they
it.
drew the line, which doesn't really make sense because
Stupid
like
fucking movie.
that they would definitely once honestly, like as sick as it sounds, like immediately once they start getting their periods, I feel like
Yeah,
they're fucked up enough
Yeah.
that where
Yeah.
they would just they don't care, they just want the
yeah.
Antichrist at that point. So
Mhm.
it doesn't make sense that they're like, all right, we need to wait till 18. I feel like that's sort of like a all right, well, we can't go too extreme here with this fucking idea, That's like a Hollywood thing more than anything, I feel like at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have two technical gripes, two technical Todd's gripes with the movie. Number one, I hated the fade to black edit that they did multiple times throughout the film, where you see
Yeah.
a black screen for a good 5 seconds at a time. Absolutely hated that. I don't know, it just stops the movie. Like it's already slow at times. I don't need fucking 5 seconds of black. Also,
Mhm.
I hated that whole thing. And my other one is the score was
It's all
half-assed.
right.
Like
Yeah.
there's a scene that really like it's literally like classic Ghost, like just ooh, ooh, and I'm like, oh goddamn, no, that is just lazy scoring right there. So I was kind of disappointed with the score, which is where I think Immaculate was like had a great score, so that elevated that movie a little bit above this one for me. Yeah. And what do you guys think of the design of the jackal at the end when we see him in the fire?
It didn't bother me. I'm not gonna lie, I kind of feel bad for him when he was burning in the fire there at the end. I'm like, oh, that poor little guy. Look at him burning up in the fire there. Um, but yeah, man, I don't know. Like, I feel like it showed just enough for you to understand that it's like a fucked up looking creature. But I think they did a good, like, I'm glad they didn't show like too much, because you were right. Like, I think if they went a little too like deeper into it, it probably would have came off more corny, more cheesy. But I think it showed just enough where you get the idea, but didn't come off like terrible looking to me personally.
Yeah, I agree, and I like that whole like last few minute sequence with her, like with she has a scalpel or something holding the baby
Yeah.
hostage and stuff. I thought that was pretty cool. Like everything just coming together at the end. I liked the imagery and the sound and all that stuff. I thought it was pretty neat.
Can we talk about her acting though, when she fucking gets out of that car and she's fucking like possessed and she's like all like
Oh yeah, that
fucking
was
like
crazy.
making all those like weird ass noises and shit like that?
Yeah, that was
Like
fucking goofy.
honestly, it's goofy, man, but I think a lesser actress, it comes off like really fucking corny and cheesy. But I think with her, it kind of worked. It was kind of fucking creepy, and I thought it was great. Like I thought she played that really well, where it could have came off like absolutely fucking terrible and laughable.
So where does this go from here? So now at the end we have
Yeah.
her, Carlita, and well, she's Carlita 5, Carlita 12, and then Carlita 13, I guess, whatever, are
Yeah.
all living together. And Ralph Ineson is like, they know about you, you know,
Mhm.
and they're eventually going to come for you. So where does it go from here? Now we know what happens to him because he is in the Omen. So that's the same character that you know, gets impaled in the Omen. So what happens to them? Like, is this a story you think they're gonna continue, or is just like I don't know. I don't know where they would go from here.
Yeah, I mean, I think they left it open, right? They're like, all right, well, let's see how this movie does, and if it does well, we can, we can play around with it. And I think it actually did. You'll have to correct me, Todd. You're always sort of the budget guy in this, so you'll have to look it up and let me know. But I feel like this movie actually did pretty well. So, yeah, I'm honestly down for it. I enjoyed this one enough where I'm like, I'd be interested to see like, Nell and these other two girls sort of trying to stave off this religious cult or whatever, and see where they go from here. I mean, obviously they connected the original Omen at the very end there with the picture of Gregory Peck and stuff like that, which I thought was cool. It was a cool little nod to kind of show where Damien is going from here and stuff like that. But yeah, obviously it seems like they want to focus on where the women go after this. And I think you could probably stretch one more movie out of it. I don't think other than, I don't think you
Yeah.
could turn this into a franchise, but I'd be down to watch at least one more and see where we go.
I was gonna say, do you find that they might have kind of blocked themselves a little bit by connecting it to the Omen that much? You know, it could have been a reboot essentially of the
Right.
Omen franchise, but by showing Gregory Peck's picture, showing them at the hospital that you see him in the beginning of the Omen, it kind of like we know where Damien goes from here because we saw those
Right.
movies. So had they not shown just that part, it couldn't have been essentially a new Damien and just
Mhm.
retelling. And I feel that kind of hurts franchise potential, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a bad thought because they honestly could have just I mean, obviously people wouldn't get like Todd said, like most people probably haven't even seen The Omen, right? Like, so like we see Gregory Peck and we're like, oh yeah, oh awesome. So now it's connected to that first Omen to that Omen movie. Perhaps if they just used the character's name and had a totally different actor
Yeah,
in the
exactly.
picture, they could have like went off and made a new Omen movie and spurned a whole sort of franchise off of that. But now, yeah, you're right. Like now you're just basically sort of pigeonholing yourself that you're just going to be focusing on Nell Tiger's character and
Hmm.
these other two girls. And like I said, I feel like you can do that for one more movie. I just don't know if you could turn this into a Pope Sextus thing where they're going to make fucking like three more movies with what's his face there, Russell Crowe.
Yeah, but it would almost not make sense for them not to go after Damien because that's her twin brother, for the little girl. Or
Right.
so I don't know. It was an odd choice to me. It was like I understand why they did it, but not if it's franchise.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, they don't, the thing is, like, they don't have to, like, consider those movies technically, right? Like, they could kind of spurn off their own thing and end up killing Damien or something. And, I mean, it's technically, like, not fully connected, I guess. I mean, they tried to connect it, but they could kind of make their own sort of thing like they do with remakes and reboots and stuff like that. So, I guess we'll see.
All right, so Big budget, man. 30 million for this bad boy, which
That's pretty high.
that's a little too high, guys. We gotta bring
Yeah,
that down to
that's
about
a
10
lot.
maybe. But did decent, 53 million worldwide. So, not a smash runaway hit, but
Right.
certainly got some profit in there. So I don't personally think they're gonna make another one, but who knows?
We'll see. Nell, like I said, Nell Tiger's great. She for Servant. If you know anyone that has Apple Plus, like I hear no one ever talking about Servant. She is fantastic in that. Well, she's the lead actress in that for the 4 seasons. And she's really good in that as well. So definitely give her some love and check out Servant. It's done. M. Night Shyamalan produced. I think it was only 3 or 4 seasons, and it's pretty good. It's pretty good. So I recommend that if you really enjoyed Nell Tiger in that as well. With this, like, I mean, we got this, we got Immaculate. I mean, would you say this is this a resurgence of religious horror now? Like, are we gonna start getting a lot more religious horror, or do you think
Yeah,
this is
Pope's
sort of
Exorcist too.
right? And Pope's
and
Exorcist,
the other Exorcist film with Russell Crowe that is like
right?
either coming out this
Came and went.
Yeah, yeah, at some point.
Yeah, it was so funny. When we went and saw A Quiet Place this weekend, they had free posters for that movie, and I was like, "Did anyone fucking see that movie?" Like,
What was the title of that one again?
Something Exorcist.
The
like-
Exorcism.
Yeah, see?
I think
Yeah,
it's just
The
called The
Exorcism, that's right,
Exorcism. Yeah. Very,
Jeez.
very clever name, very original. The
Yeah,
Exorcism.
right.
What's
But
it
I was like,
about?
I literally don't know one fucking person that has seen that movie. Like, I don't think I've seen anyone review it on Letterboxd.
No.
Like, I haven't heard one person talk about it. It's just like, wow, like they didn't advertise that movie at all. It's just like really bizarre that but anyway, like do you think are you guys up for I know Steve, you're probably the
Yeah,
biggest religious
definitely.
horror fan of the three of us, so I'm sure you're down for it. But would you say this is now would you call this like maybe the year of the religious horror
I mean,
resurgence with
yeah, but
these two
between
movies?
you had also Exorcist Believer, you had The Nun too, like recently,
Right.
like yeah, it's definitely the only thing, and I've talked about this about the past. I think it's time that we hit some other religions, like
Sure.
it's just I feel like Christianity is overdone. I'd really like to see a movie like this, but with Jewish, things, or Hindu or Muslim or something. Like I'm a little over the Christian religious horrors, but
Right.
I'd still watch them because I do love this subgenre.
I think it's honestly simply because of the masses, right? You know, obviously you got like The Vigil, you get like these little indie movies doing different religions, but at the end of the day, it's like Christianity is like the biggest fucking thing in the world, millions and millions. And I mean, granted though, like obviously like in other countries, like, but I feel like here in America, like, or North American based movies, they're gonna always focus on sort of Catholicism and Christianity and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I just
Well,
think
hey, we have
that's where the money
Turkey's
goes.
answer to watch, right?
Right. Yeah.
Satan. Hey, in case you guys were wondering, Exorcist budget 22 million. Not a lot of people saw it though. 5.9 mil
Ooh,
total gross, and it's out of theater. So that's a bomb right there.
definitely. All right. Should we rate this sucker?
Sure.
All right. Man, I don't know. Like you guys kind of like took me down on this one, like slightly, I would say. So when I first watched it, I had it at a 4 out of 5. And then like, kind of looking at the back and forth between this and Immaculate, like it's either I gotta knock this down or I gotta elevate Immaculate. Because I do think they both are really good, are both I'd say almost great in their own ways. So I think I'm gonna elevate Immaculate to a 4, and I'm gonna leave this at a 4 too. I think they're both great. They both have great imagery. They're both great performances by our leads and stuff like that. Like you said, they're both very similar movies. But as this movie stands, I'm gonna give it a 4. I really enjoyed it. I'd watch it again. I did watch it again for this review, and I enjoyed it just as much on the rewatch.
All right. Well, I'm gonna be a little bit lower. I'm gonna go in at a 3. And honestly, I probably didn't give it the attention it deserved just because, previously stated points about, watching Immaculate and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, the lead, she's phenomenal in this. I actually like the score. I really like when score is weird and it goes like, oh, like stuff like that. And they do that all the time. And I dig it. The movie looked fine. It looked good. It was just too soon for me from Immaculate. And I think Immaculate edges it in most categories, minus the lead actress. So yeah, 3 out of 5.
And I'm right in the middle of you guys, 3.5 out of 5. It's actually like just one below Immaculate on my like list right now. I've watched 7 movies this year, and that one is like one number and immaculately right above it. So I liked it. It's just it failed in a couple ways, but yeah, it's still, I think it's worth watching for sure. Especially if you like the Omen series.
All right. And what does Letterboxd say? That's right. I did remember this week, gentlemen. Right around at Steve, a 3.4 out of 5 currently sitting over on Letterboxd for the First Omen. I think a surprise, right? I don't think anyone was expecting it to be like a really
No,
good movie.
I thought it would
So I
suck,
think,
to be
yeah,
honest. Yeah.
right, yeah. So I think this one was definitely a pleasant surprise for a lot of people, especially a movie that is, what is this, like maybe the 6th or 7th movie in the Omen franchise now,
Yes,
somewhere around
sixth.
there.
Yeah,
6th, yeah. Wow, how clever 6th. Yeah,
that's right.
6th.
Missed opportunities.
Right, yeah, for sure. Alrighty, that's gonna be it for this week's episode. Steve, what do we got next week?
We are going to Texas next week, and a nice summer movie. We're going to watch Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but not the original, not the sequel, not even the third one, but New Generation. So, yeah, that's a interesting movie, and can't wait to talk about it.
Yes, this is my pick based on like the Discord. It just like randomly came up the other day, and I was like, man, that movie is so fucking weird. I haven't seen it in a while. Renee Zellweger and Matthew McConaughey, like their start, like one of their first movies they ever did. So that is Texas Chainsaw Massacre: The Next Generation from 1995. Currently not available to stream anywhere free, but you can pay the low price of $3.59 to watch it on Amazon Prime or YouTube or wherever. So go and check it out. I'm sure a lot of you probably already have it on Blu-ray and whatnot as well. So go and check it out for next week's episode. Also, side note, the week after, we are going to be doing Maxine as well. Highly anticipated theater release for that one. So go and check out Maxine, which actually hits theaters this weekend. All right. So that is going to be it for this week's episode. Don't forget, you can keep up the podcast anytime. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Threads. Just search the Horror Squad Podcast. You can also email us anytime, the Horror Squad Podcast at gmail.com. But the absolute best way is our Discord, which I just mentioned. Amazing community over there. We do movie clubs every month. You heard Steve just talking about it. They watch Exists next month. I'm sure it's going to be awesome as well. Any thoughts, Steve, for next month? You
Yeah,
guys
we're
talk about
actually
it?
doing Shark Week. So we're going to have a
right.
shark vote, which we will also do very soon when Shark Week rolls around the end of July for this podcast. So we'll do our annual good shark movie, bad shark movie combo, and it'll be a vote that we'll put out there. So it's coming out very soon.
Hell yeah. So, all right. So yeah, movie club every month, Shark Week next month, usually the last Friday of every month. So come and join us on that. How you join the Discord? It's linked over on our Instagram, or you can just send us an email or a DM through our socials. We'll get you a link to join that Instagram, to join that Discord completely free. Also, don't forget important dates: October 11th through the 13th, Salem, Massachusetts. It's just a bunch of Halloween weekend. The cast of Hocus Pocus will be in Salem, Massachusetts, along with the three of us and some of your fellow listeners. Whole weekend of events. Just head to it'sjustabunchofhalloween.com for any and all details. Don't forget, leave us a 5-star review on your favorite podcast app if you haven't already. And if you'd like to buy merch, you can buy merch over on tpublic.com. Just search the Horror Squad Podcast. That's going to be it, folks. We hope you enjoyed our review of The First Omen, and we'll see you next week as we head to Texas for Texas Chainsaw Massacre: The Next Generation. See ya.
Bye.
Bye.